So next we have Sherif Mekky. Sherif is a design consultant at Pivotal Labs. He works on a wide variety of digital transformation projects to deliver an optimal user experience. Over the past 14 years, he has designed and launched digital products and services in various industries, including tech, healthcare, automotive, and telecom. His work follows a master's degree in IT product design. His talk is called Experiment because assumptions are the mother of all failed products. So welcome, Sherif.
Hello, everyone. Let's go, John. So, working at a software consultancy, our clients, typically large enterprises, they come to us with ideas and solutions that they want to build. So those solutions are often based on well-informed assumptions and knowledge of their business, but they're still assumptions. They're not validated problems that are ready to be solved or even worth solving at all. So there's no real problem statement to start working off. And this creates a risk that we'd spend time and money building the wrong solution, building a solution that nobody really wants or doesn't satisfy user needs really. So we'll see the unhappy face now. So that's why the emoji is unhappy. So in order to avoid or reduce the chances of this happening, we de-risk. So we run quick and short experiments to de-risk our biggest unknowns, to de-risk our biggest sort of assumptions about the solution that we're trying to do. We've all read the Lean Startup, right? And probably very familiar with the build, measure, learn model, which really tries to address those concerns about risk. However, we kind of think that this also gets to solutions a bit too quickly. So we twisted around a little bit, and we'd like to start with learning first. So we take a step back and stop thinking about the solution for a bit and try and focus on the assumptions and the problems we're making at the moment. The objective here really is to start and identify our riskiest assumptions, those kind of assumptions that would probably or potentially lead to the failure of the product or service that you're trying to build. Nobody wants to spend time and money and end up with failure. So the first step in de-risking is to talk to users. And I know, we hear this a lot, talk to users, but honestly, can't stress enough the importance of amplifying the voice of the user and bringing it to the table. And one way, of course, of doing that is through user interviews. So by conducting the interviews and having those conversations, we get a chance to validate as well as invalidate some of those assumptions that we've formulated earlier, especially at a higher kind of more conceptual level. And of course, it's expected, so the next step would be to pick those identified and validated assumptions or problems and build experiments around them and try and solve those problems. Obviously, we use the research insights we've collected so far to build those insights. Of course, no surprise, some of the assumptions will turn out not to be true, and that's perfectly fine. At this point, no need to run more experiments, and recommendation should be just, don't work on this piece any further. It's worth calling out as well that those experiments, they don't need to be software-based. They could be a simple paper prototype, a bunch of Post-its, posters on the wall, or simply those conversations that you're having with the people. More importantly, experiments help you align with your stakeholders. As you're running this process, you're essentially developing a shared sense of understanding and an ownership of what you're building. It helps you as well shape your UX strategy and get buy-in from it. So your third step would be to go back to your users and run those experiments and start gathering feedback. At this point, don't be afraid to discard ideas or concepts that don't seem to be working. It's best to do this as early as possible. And then repeat. Keep running and refining your experiments by running lean and rapid cycles of learning, experimenting, and getting feedback until you develop enough confidence to actually move forward. Never be afraid to challenge and question all your assumptions. As Billy said earlier, they're all wrong anyway, and working off assumptions really leads to building the wrong thing. And more importantly, keep talking to your users. It's actually, I know, it's easier said than done, But again, talking to your stakeholders and involving them in this process earlier actually helps get this buy-in. It develops empathy for the user, for yourself, and for the whole process actually that you're creating. And then this helps you get buy-in for whatever you're trying to do. And going back to my point, more importantly, talk to users. They are the experts who weren't in the room. They weren't there where any of those assumptions or conversations were formulated. And ultimately experiment to validate, to uncover real problems worth solving. Experiments are fast, cheap, and way less risky than writing code. It helps you align your stakeholders as well. Thank you very much.